Welcome to the Rewild Gear Podcast. Modern life, society, and responsibilities have domesticated us. But now it's time to rediscover your adventurous side. Whether that's camping, hiking, hunting, fishing, or just spending time in the great outdoors, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we get back to the wilderness and rewild. Okay, check 1, 2, 3.
Here we go.
We're rolling. So, welcome to the Rewild Gear Podcast. Hey, boys.
Hello there.
What's up?
How do we want to get this thing started? This is episode 1.
I think we're doing it.
Intro of Rewild Gear.
Yes, so we are coming at you. I guess this isn't live because it's going to be, we're pre-recording this.
Live right now.
Live
Feels
from,
live to us.
live from the Deer Blind.
That's right.
From Deer Camp
Yeah.
2020.
With some Jaeger.
Yes.
And some water.
the official drink of Deer Camp. Yes. So, hello. This is the Rewild Gear Podcast.
Tell me about Rewild Gear.
Hang on, let's get to the intros first.
Oh, okay.
I'm Seth Spears. I'm the founder of Rewild Gear, brainchild that we've been contemplating for many, many years, and we're starting to bring it to fruition and decided to start a podcast to go along with it. Adam, who are you?
I am the younger brother of Seth Spears. And
What's your name?
Adam Spears. Sorry, I missed that minor detail. But I'm one of the 4 brothers. Well, technically 5.
Oh yeah, there's 5 brothers.
There's 5.
One of them.
Important point.
Does one of
Yeah.
them count since he's not here?
No.
He decided not to come to Deer Camp.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 of them decided not to come to Deer Camp year, so they're ostracized. They're
Yeah.
kicked out. Yeah.
I am a Texan now, unfortunately.
You actually claim it?
Are you admitting to that?
Yeah. Like if someone says,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
you would say you're a Texan?
no, I still say I'm from Texas,
You're
but
from Texas?
but I don't tell them I'm a
You
Texan.
live
2
in
different
Texas.
things.
Yes.
Like if
No,
someone
I still
says,
say if I'm talking to somebody, tell them I'm Kentucky still.
Got
Okay.
it.
I'll always go back to Kentucky.
That's good.
Yeah.
Dave, how about you?
Hi, I'm David Spears. I'm the younger brother of these 2 brothers. And I am a Kentuckian through and through. Still live here, born here. Everyone
Born,
else has
raised.
dispersed.
Married someone from here too.
Married someone from here.
Only one of us that did, I
Yep,
guess.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
I know.
How about that?
Super
Little weird.
smart.
Yeah.
Super smart. Yeah, I work in healthcare, so getting outdoors, I take every advantage I can, opportunity with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, what do you do?
Well, apparently I'm a firefighter. Not a
In
fire
Texas.
I see is not much, but that is my full time.
And you're a
Job.
firefighter because you like to make fires.
Yeah, that's essential. I got into it. No, I really got into it because we have a pretty good schedule. I have a lot of time off because I have 4 boys I gotta raise
You gotta
and
rear.
wrangle.
Rear your 4 boys.
Yeah. So it's a good rotation of 24 hours away. So I get a little break, then I go back home, back and forth, and I end up having 4 days off at a time. So
There you go.
Works out well.
And I'm trying to figure out what I do. Too much. A lot of
So if I first meet you, I say, so I feel like there's 2 ways to ask this question. One person might say, "What do you do?" Or then someone may say, "What kind of work do you do?" So how would you respond to either of those?
Oh, that's a good question. What do I do? I'd say depends on the day.
Okay.
But basically I work online.
Okay.
Run multiple businesses and websites online in both the content, education, information space, primarily in health. I used to run a digital marketing consultancy, and then I'm a co-founder of our personal care line of products. But my passion has always been the outdoors.
What's your elevator pitch? If I'm in the elevator, I say, "Hey, what kind of work do you do?" You got like 10 seconds max.
10 seconds. And I always hate this question
I know
because it's
it's a
so hard
terrible
because I've done.
question.
No, it's not a terrible
Well,
question.
here's
I
the
just have a
question:
terrible
do you
answer.
ever use entrepreneur? Do you ever use that word?
Yeah,
That is
occasionally.
such a casual word now.
It is a casual word. It doesn't mean
everybody-
anything.
yeah.
And it's almost kind of becoming a dirty word
It
because
is.
most people that think it's in this startup culture, like this Silicon
Yeah,
Valley.
yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to start a tech business or something, and
Right.
we're going to raise a whole lot of money, and then we're going to sell it, and we're never going to see a dime until we actually sell it.
Right,
So
right,
I
yeah.
hate that side of it. So because I've haven't really gotten into that game. Well, a little bit, but not enough. Well, not enough to say that. So
Yeah.
no, I would say I'm a digital marketing professional who's started multiple online businesses, and I work in front of a computer all day. I'm a computer nerd desk jockey who wants to be outside and not indoors.
Actually, that's probably the best description.
Lead with that. Lead with that.
Exactly.
That's a good, yeah.
All right. So that's a little intros about us, which we know, but everyone else out there
Yeah.
will learn a little more. Adam, let's hear your outdoor interests. What's your favorite thing to do outdoors? Why?
I would literally move into the great outdoors and not think twice about it.
When someone says the great outdoors, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means probably the middle of Wyoming, Montana, I don't know, Idaho, Utah, the mountains, rivers.
That's what Horace Kephart did.
How about that?
He created a pretty cool knife, too.
He did.
Yeah.
Great design.
But unfortunately, my priorities are raising children and a wife, and
You're raising your wife.
yeah,
All right, if you know how
raising a family.
to... Okay,
and
if you
trying
once
to
you figure
provide
out how
for
to
them.
do that, tell me, because I don't know how to do that.
Well, it's a work in progress that I think no one really knows how.
We're not going to let the wives listen to this podcast.
No.
Thinking it might be a bad idea.
So, I mean, like, okay, last night I got here before everyone. I was
First
out-
time ever that I wasn't the first person to make it to deer camp.
Yeah. So I got here. I, organized the place, got things together.
Good job on that, by the way.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Saved me
Great
some
work.
time.
Great work.
And then I just sat out on the front porch on my deer hide and drank some Jaeger and read and just
love it.
looked at the stars.
Were
you smoke
you
a pipe?
asleep when we got here?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did you smoke a pipe?
No, I brought it. I didn't smoke
Oh,
it
okay.
yet.
Gotcha.
No, I have it. But,
Right.
I mean, literally just the amount of noise that I live with right now. So when I say 4 boys, I mean I have twin boys that are 4 years old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And they're all boys. So there's just chaos.
I have seen
24/7.
it. That's not an understatement.
There's no breaks when you're home. So when I get to go outside, it's like a refresh. I get to break. I get to think. I get to rest.
Would you say that it's the most relaxing thing that you do
Absolutely, 100%.
and it refreshes you?
100%. Like when I go back home to Texas, like I'll feel ready to handle these boys again for another, year or two.
nice.
So Liv, my wife, we always joke about this. Like if ever we go away, like on a trip or something, and like individually, and like it's really quiet, we always joke about how you have like this time frame when you're entering back into the chaos where you're like super overwhelmed. And so you're like, where if the parent's been staying with the kids and like solo parenting, like they're kind of up to par with everything and up to speed. And then when the other parent like gets home, they're like, oh gosh, I'm not ready to enter back in.
Yeah, I think.
Or do you feel like it's easier to go back in?
No, it's easier for me to go back in.
Okay.
And I know that my wife, Mallory, is ready to... She's probably borderline suicide by the time I get back home. So I know that I have to be on par and be ready to take over and let her have a break.
Got it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mal, go to the bar.
Yeah.
Take your
Exactly.
friends. Do some tequila shots.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, you can never foresee what your life's going to turn out to, but I
Yeah.
never saw 4 boys this close
Ain't
to
that the
age.
truth?
It's a lot. So getting outside, just like, it's been a passion of all of ours. I think when I was 13 is when we moved to a new house with 5 acres. And before that, we grew up riding bikes. We were outside all the time.
Yeah. Any chance we could get
But when we got there, it was paintball wars, it was building forts, it was
Living
zip
outside.
lines. We were literally outside shooting guns, shooting birds. Like we're outside
Any chance we
24/7.
could get.
Yeah. Any chance we got to, we were outside. So now living this urban life per se where I'm at is frustrating, but it's also
Would you say it steals a little bit of your soul?
100%. And that's why deer camp is huge, because you get to come back here and like
It's the best time of year.
you get
Christmas.
to balance yourself back out.
It is. It
really
it's
is.
literally better than Christmas.
Yeah.
And we're recording this the
Especially
day before
now,
the opening of
'cause-
rifle season.
Yeah, especially now because I work on Christmas a lot of times.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like
not only
Uh, yeah, just Or like our trip to Wyoming, it was huge.
Oh, amazing.
Like, or I think back so when I was engaged, right before I moved to Texas and started getting things ready for a marriage, I took a 10-day trip to Wyoming with the Sophia boys and an Irishman. And
Then we fell out of that
incredible.
tree.
A random
Yeah,
Irishman.
that's when
that's when you nearly
chased
died.
the grizzly.
You chased a grizzly and concussed yourself.
But like 10 days out there, it was just unreal. But it's trips like that bring you back to life and let you remember that it's not all for, like, you're not just, you may die for a little bit living this, life of family and kids and job and making money.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. But getting back outside and into the woods and the mountains, drinking and eating good, like, it just refreshes you, makes you ready to go back to what you need to do.
I agree with that 100%.
For sure.
Dave, how about you?
So when I think about the outdoors, like, if I think back to like some of my earliest memories of like childhood, those are like some of my best memories. So like any chance could go hike, camp, fish, canoe, kayak, like any of those things are like some of my best memories. And so I think, especially like the environment that I work in, it's a very kind of sterile environment, working in a hospital.
Literally?
Yeah, exactly. So it's always such a breath of fresh air to get outside, to just be outdoors. And I think too, like my wife and I, we have 3 children. And so, I mean, again, just like Adam said, it's very busy. And so any chance to be where there's just quiet or just like the sounds of nature, and you just get to like think, and you just get to just enjoy being outside. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, some of my biggest interests are really anything outdoors. Obviously hunting, hiking, camping. And some of the best trips that I've been on have been, really outside, geared towards that. Yosemite, stuff like that.
What would be your top 3 outdoor trips?
Oh man. I would say Yosemite is probably one of my top ones.
Is that when you guys nearly died?
We nearly died.
Dehydration?
First, yeah. We almost hiking Half Dome, and we got lost on the way down because the youngest brother Joe thought we'd take a shortcut.
Oh dear God!
The shortcut did not work.
There's
only a few times in my life. There are 3 times in my life that I thought this might not end well, as in someone is seriously going to get hurt, or we could very possibly die. And that's one of the times.
Why does it seem like our youngest brother, Joe, has nearly killed all of us?
He's always there when the worst things happen.
Like the worst shit that could go down. He was always there, and it seems like he instigated the things that preceded those bad things happening.
Seemed like a good idea.
That is so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I never really thought about that, but
That's funny.
some truth to it.
Yeah.
A lot of truth.
Regardless of almost dying and getting lost in Yosemite and being dehydrated, I would say that's one of my top trips. And I mean, obviously, deer camp is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally look forward to it every single year. Like, just the prep, getting ready, what kind of new gear you're going to get, I mean,
we're going to get to gear in a second here.
Yeah, exactly. Like last year, I just started bow hunting. So, I mean, just, practicing bow, shooting. I mean, you just can't beat it.
Nice. Love it.
What about you?
Yeah. So for me, I am in front of a computer all day, most days, way too much, just dealing with tech and marketing for all the different websites that we run. So my wife and I have 6 kids and stay extremely busy, run multiple online businesses. And so just incredibly busy with all of that, just the logistics of it and managing teams and everything surrounding all of that. So anytime I can get out into nature, into the woods, into the great outdoors, it is the best time just to
Sensing a theme.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's kind of the whole concept here that, we're dealing with. And you guys just drink the damn Jaeger. Seriously.
I'm showing him it's plant-based. It's all botanicals.
Of course. It also has deer's blood.
There is no alcohol in this.
Zero.
Yeah. So I'll come back to my story in a second here. But, the official drink of deer camp has been Jägermeister forever. And I think all of us really acquired a taste for it when we studied in Austria. So all of us took a semester in college
Yeah.
and studied in Austria. It was one of the best experiences of our lives. And we'll come back to that later.
That's
But
a whole
Jaeger,
saga.
yeah, we could have a whole podcast episode.
Yeah,
just
Yeah,
about that.
easily. Side note, there's a 12-pointer on the front of this. I never counted.
Yeah.
What's funny, I never like before you. I never really liked.
That's not
Black
a whitetail.
licorice.
That's a red stag. That is
it
that
is.
is the ultimate deer.
Yeah, that's it.
The most
Gorgeous.
regal
Gorgeous.
beast
We should
in the wood.
bring some and raise them here.
Yeah, we
There
should.
you go. Transplant them.
Yeah, so for me, getting into nature, into the great outdoors is the most relaxing, refreshing, and invigorating thing that I can do. I sleep better outdoors
Oh
when
my
I'm
gosh,
away from
yes.
technology, when I don't have my phone dinging nonstop. And unfortunately, most places where you do camp and hunt and stuff, there still is cell phone signal, so it's not quite as no electronics as I'd like, but that's all part of it. But just being in nature and playing with new gear and hiking and hunting and camping and fishing and just reconnecting with nature is fantastic. Our ancestors, they live this life on the land of foraging and hunting and collecting all their own food and growing it. And we've become completely disconnected with that side of life. Most people in the world live in a very urban environment, and it's a concrete jungle. It's not the nature like we're seeing right here, even though we can see a highway from the deer blind that we're recording this in. There's trees, there's oak trees, there's maples, there's birch, there's hickory, there's just all of these different beautiful, huge trees that just feed wildlife and nature. And it's just something that is rejuvenating and makes us realize where we came from and, what we've gotten away from. And so that's what I love about it. And trying to raise my children to love it as much as I do, and don't know that I can raise my wife to do that. She likes her creature comforts way too much. But that's another story. So just anytime you can spend outdoors is the best of times
For sure. Quick story. We went camping a few weeks ago with some friends, and it was kind of a mixed bag. Some had like an RV, some were tent camping.
That's not camping.
I know. It like I said, it was a mixed bag, and everyone has their own, interpretation of what camping was. So we were tent camping with our three kids, and you were talking about how you sleep so good outside, and so like middle of the night, like kids are awake, yelling. Can't go to sleep, cold, every single thing. And it's so funny though, because I sleep so well. Like, even if it was only like 4 hours, 3 hours, like I woke up and I was like, this is amazing. You just feel so much better. Like sleeping on the ground, you're in the fresh air when you wake up. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really funny how many creature comforts that we have, and we do all these different things for health. And just a little backstory. So I primarily work in the natural health space as far as like education and information and product recommendations and that sort of thing. So I see that side of it day to day, and realizing that all of these things we do, whether that's biohacking or using different products to improve health, and tracking our sleep cycles and stuff, just stripping all of that away and just being out in nature, away from blue lights and electronics and everything else, and all those things that are supposed to make us healthier and helpful, and realizing how much better we sleep and are just have more energy and are more rejuvenated to live life just by getting away from all of it.
It's funny how many biohacks that we have to do because we're away from nature. Have you thought about that though? Like, think of all the things that we have, like we should be doing, like these hacks, but it's because we're away from nature. Like going to bed when the sun goes down, waking up when it comes up, like stuff like that. You know?
So like 4 days ago, me and my 6 kids, camped out here, and my wife was traveling, so she wasn't. Katie was on a trip, and so she wasn't out here. I think no skin off her back. She doesn't actually want to be out here too much, unfortunately. But me and all the kids, we just, we made a fire, we grilled out, we just camped out and slept out here in the woods. And my sleep was so much better just tracking it, via one of these devices.
Oh, yeah.
Your ring.
One of your hacks.
One of the biohacks is to see how your sleep is. And my sleep is the best all week when I was out here.
Funny.
Than it was sleeping on an organic mattress and in a climate controlled environment and everything. Even though it's, it's either hot or it's cold. it's just funny how that happens.
It's so simplistic.
Yeah, exactly. You're not in front of devices, and just the natural fire light, and you get tired when it gets dark. Because you don't have all this artificial light to keep you up. And then you wake up when it gets light, and you're energized and ready to go.
Do your girls like being out here as much as the boys?
Yeah, they really had a good time.
Yeah.
It's more of a novelty for them because they're not out here for deer camp.
Right.
They're not in it as much, so it's a little more novel to them than the boys. But they both like it.
Fun little jaunt.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Rewild Gear, the company we're starting, shall we?
It's a good idea.
I'm making for many years.
I'm trying to think back to when this concept actually came about, because I know we've kind of talked about it in passing for a long time. And
how long have we been doing deer camp?
2015 was the first year. So I bought this property in 2014, and it was actually during rifle season.
Yeah.
And bought it, and I came out and hunted.
That's right.
And me and our oldest son Tony camped out during that time as well, but just in a tent because we hadn't built the cabin and stuff yet. But we did our first official deer camp in November 2015. But I feel like we've been talking about it.
For sure.
I mean, just camping like up at like Red River Gorge or other places and stuff.
I love that place.
Yeah,
the gorge.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. So I can't think when it actually started, just conceptually.
Yeah.
But we've always been gearheads, all of us.
I mean, I think since childhood we've been prepping for that.
Really?
I mean, we couldn't go to a Walmart or literally anything that had any sort of outdoor. That was our first department we went to.
Yep, sporting goods section.
For sure.
Find it. Make a beeline for it.
Even though the equipment they have at Walmart is pure crap, but
Yeah, but the fact that we just that was even though we didn't even grow up outdoors, if you think about it, we didn't camp a ton,
not a lot,
because our parents didn't want to.
Yeah, there was a few times I remember.
Yeah, we went a couple times, not a lot.
Yeah,
until we got older, we were able to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Our dad didn't hunt. He never took us hunting.
No.
Yeah.
We had these desires for these things for whatever reason, even though we didn't actually do them significantly. I know people that I work with, they grew up hunting as kids with their parents.
Oh, especially around here, in Kentucky, you grew
in Texas,
grow
both.
up.
Texas, and I had this thought last year, because Dad was out here hunting and helped him get his first deer ever.
Right.
I helped him put him in the stand where he needs to go.
How funny is that?
And I'm like, this is kind of backwards.
Right.
But I mean, it was kind of cool too, helping him get his first deer, because I've been hunting for years and just love it.
Yeah, that is cool.
So that was it was like a role reversal, I guess. And
it's very fascinating funny to think like that, because we never had the option of hunt. It wasn't even really a thought to go. I mean, it was a thought for us. We'd go shoot birds with our BB guns, but we never actually
slingshot. Throw a rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys ever? Because this is something I think about. Do you guys feel like you are behind, in terms of hunting,
Oh, that's a good question.
Because this is something I think about. I feel like I'm playing catch up
because you don't have as much experience starting at such.
I feel like I'm constantly reading or watching or consuming material because I feel like I'm behind.
So here's actually, this is really interesting. So remember that picture I sent you guys of us skinning that deer in the fire station?
Yeah. That was cool.
So it was
Let's tell that story though.
Yeah. So another typical shift, not many calls, just hang out at the station. But someone hit a deer, and it was one of our other stations that responded to that call. But I guess they didn't want to deal with it. Anyway, the game warden said, "Well, if you guys want, you can take the deer. It's
that's kind of standard practice, yeah."
So we sent one of our guys to go pick the deer up in our utility truck, threw it in the back, brought it to the station. This particular day, we did not have a lieutenant working with us, so one of the other firefighters was riding up, who is an avid deer hunter.
Will your lieutenant listen to this?
No.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Probably not. But so he's an avid hunter.
Okay.
And he talks about hunting all the time. He goes deer hunting, and he goes boar hunting and duck hunting, and so I was like, he's gonna know. Clearly he has a lot of experience. He's a little younger than me, but he grew up in Texas and whatever. So we bring the deer back, and we start field dressing it in the station. We hang it. We use a couple of our step ladders to hang it from. We just
rigged it up.
Yeah, we rigged up in the station in the bay where our fire trucks are. We're literally 10 feet from our fire trucks.
Yeah,
and thankfully it was right after 5 o'clock. So the admin building, the chiefs had left. So nobody was
so
around.
You're not going to get in trouble.
We're not getting in trouble. Nobody's going to catch us unless one of us tell, which we didn't, but we used a skill saw to finish cutting some of the bones off, off the truck. So we had to like thoroughly clean.
You're using the jaws of life to open the cafe.
Quickest
Almost.
field
We
dress
almost
you've
did.
ever done.
But we're cutting this thing up and field dressing it and skinning it, and I felt as knowledgeable as these guys did who grew up doing this.
Oh,
it was
that's
really,
interesting.
it
That
was
is
very
interesting.
fascinating.
Why do you think that was the case?
I don't. I think part of it is because even though these guys grew up
Mhm.
hunting, they usually take it to get processed, and they don't usually do it themselves.
Really?
Huh.
So they're just field dressing it and then just taking it straight in. So they've
Well,
never actually done the
they're
whole
I
not
don't
like
know they've even done
butchering.
they like a couple of guys that are hunters. They grew up hunting, that were there helping.
Yeah.
They were like, I guess this is how we do it. And they
No
one of the
kidding.
guys. So I was like trying to get the insides out so it didn't all leak, like all the
Right.
intestines and all that, and
Yeah.
the blood, and the
bile
poop,
and everything. Yeah.
And one of the dudes like, well, what can't you? The dude that's riding up, lieutenant who's been hunting forever.
Yeah.
He's like, well, can't you just pull it and break it? And I was like, okay, yeah,
What?
you can. And he did. And some of the pee and stuff like went on the meat. I was like,
Pop the bladder.
What are you doing?
I was like, what?
You're a
Like,
hunter?
Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, so maybe I'm not that far back. Maybe I actually,
Interesting.
Huh.
even though I've only done this a few years, I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
So-
at least as knowledgeable as these guys in some of this because, yeah, they go out and hunt, but I think they let someone else do a lot of the processing.
So
That's
were a
interesting.
lot of them, did they go on guided hunts?
no,
where
they definitely go out by themselves,
Hmm.
but I think they just pack up the deer and then take it somewhere
then
else.
just take it somewhere.
Yeah,
which
take
is
it
the
somewhere.
worst
to-
thing you can do for the meat because, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to field dress it, at least get the intestines out
Yeah.
and all of that. Even if you're
Which
going to hang
actually,
it.
I was looking on, because it had been a few hours by the time we got to the station,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, how long do we have before this meat starts going bad? And I looked it up. It's Google, so you can't, I mean,
Depends
can't
on the
Wikipedia.
result.
Depends on the temperature and stuff, but it said
Yeah.
typically you may have up to 12 hours before you have to worry about it.
If you like get it opened up and like
Yeah.
get some wind in there, you know what I mean? Like so it can breathe some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
and
Which should
so-
be fine, assuming
Yeah.
you've got all the intestines and everything.
Right,
Because
right.
you don't want
Yeah.
that. And it depends on, like, if you shot it versus it got hit by a car, right?
Right.
Yeah, which is very
Yeah,
different.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what
And
the
you could
cause
see,
of
yeah,
death was.
there is a few spots you could tell that there's a little internal bleeding, you know, from the hit.
Oh yeah.
That
Which can affect the meat.
yeah,
Right.
but I mean, another interesting thing is this guy wasn't particular about those spots that had been hit. He wasn't
Oh,
like
really?
let's discard them, or he wasn't worried
He
about
wasn't
the pee.
cutting that
He
out.
wasn't
Oh, wow.
worried about any of that,
Really?
which is also worrisome to me.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
funny.
Which
You don't want the meat to be contaminated.
no, which
Yeah.
also brings me to another point of like, do you care about what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, which goes back to honey and natural and organic and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that, which is a whole nother topic.
Sure. But that, I mean, I feel like that's part of it, especially what we're trying to do with Rewild Gear.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
I mean, obviously creating amazing products, but also, you know, bringing information and knowledge to both the hunting space,
Yeah.
to the outdoor space, and having a conservation ethic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because I feel like there's, at least here in Kentucky where we grew up in hunting, a lot of people, they just go out and they'll just shoot them, hunt them, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter what animals
Yeah.
they're hunting.
Mhm.
They don't care about what they're putting in their body. It's like, it's more
No.
of just a sport or just to
Right.
kill it, but it's not like, hey, these are amazing creatures and you got to respect it and realize this is also some of the best meat that you can get because it's
Yeah.
as free range as it gets.
Oh yeah.
You know, with exceptions depending on what it's eating and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And, you know, there's a lot of crappy GMO corn
Right,
growing and
right.
stuff that they're eating off of and, you know, stuff like that. But it's probably a lot
But,
better than
No, as a
feed a
general,
lot of
it's going to be
animals. Right,
as a
right.
general, it's going to be much healthier,
a little bit
much
leaner
better.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think that's something that I'm definitely very fascinated in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and want to bring more information to both the hunting space and just outdoor and camping and everything, and just being aware and conscious of where our food supply comes
Mhm.
from and whether, you know, we're foraging as opposed for like nuts, like out in the woods, as opposed to just going and spending
Yeah.
$12 for, you know,
Oh my gosh, you're
a
so
few
expensive.
ounces
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
You know, which I mean, that's going to be healthier and better. Yeah, it's a little more work, a little
Mhm.
more inconvenient, but you're then connected to your food source,
Yeah.
where it comes from, the food supply, and you know where you're getting it from.
Yeah.
because most people, they just don't know. Like, they go to the store and buy their meat. you
No,
know?
it's so actually this is really interesting. So okay, so at each station we have roughly between 3 and 6 guys at each station.
Yeah.
We just got a 4th guy at my station. So my lieutenant was like, you know what? We've all been bringing our own food, eating our own stuff, but it's going to be a lot. 4 guys trying to cook. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I get that. So he's like, let's all start buying food, eating together, cooking the same thing. I was like, all right, we can do that. But, and this is a big but, there's a stipulation that I eat a certain way. And you guys are gonna have to abide by that. Otherwise, I will not do this. And like, this is a job. So you can't make me eat a certain way.
You guys
like,
are doing like communal meals now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so you will have to cook for them, and they will have to cook.
Basically.
Okay.
So because it's my butt, I'm the one that ends up doing the cooking, which is fine. Because they were abiding by it. So I was like, look, we will buy the same food and cook and eat together. That's fine. But we're gonna buy organic food.
Nice.
And we're not gonna eat all this crap. Like, so. Because he knew I ate different, but he didn't really know how or what.
How different?
Yeah. And I mean, they make fun of me for it and poking fun, but then they eat it and they're like, "Oh wow, this is incredible!
I feel amazing."
Even though it's more expensive,
Sure.
Yeah.
But they're like,
quality is expensive.
And then they'll question me like, "Okay, what's the like organic this? Like I didn't know organic was like organic syrup or like maple syrup. Like what is that?
It's not just flavored. Like,
well, I showed him. I was like, all right, go get your Aunt Jemima, whatever the hell it is you're putting on your food. Look at the ingredients on that.
I don't think you can say Aunt Jemima
there
anymore.
There's no maple syrup in it. It's literally all chemicals.
No, it's flavoring.
No.
It's not actually.
And then I showed him mine. There's maple syrup in it. They're like,
did it come from Vermont?
What? One of them did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Vermont maple syrup.
And they're like, this is incredible. So my lieutenant started buying it for his house.
That's
like
awesome.
Oh, nice.
They literally don't even know.
Yeah.
And they don't, well, one, they don't care. They never thought about it twice. But also they just like, I don't know, people don't think about what they're eating, what they go to the store for. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially firemen. They're terrible. They're
I feel like a lot of the service line industries, like typically we take care of our bodies last. Like,
yes,
I feel
like point.
It, like, especially like in healthcare, like
paramedics and EMTs are the worst.
Well, it's bizarre because you're trying to help people, but like you're not taking the time to help yourself.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say was if I make a meal based off of something that I shot and killed and butchered and everything, like the connection to that meal is so much greater. And like I guarantee you, if you go out and kill an animal and you bring it back and you do everything from the butchering to the cooking, like you will not waste a drop of that.
No, because you have a connection to it.
Exactly.
I've actually got a story about that. So my oldest son, Tony, when he was, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, maybe. He might have been a little younger than that. Well, let's call it age 6. He wasn't big into seafood. Didn't really like fish at all. So we went down to Florida, and where we actually live now. Went down for vacation, and so we went fishing while we were out there, just from the beach and just fishing. And Tony caught a fish. He caught a little like a whitefish or something like that. I'm like, hey, Tony, do you want to like cook it up and eat it? He's like, yeah, that would be great. He's young. He's 5, 6 years old, something like that. So we took it back to the condo where we were staying, and we filleted it open. We put it in a pan and just kind of some olive oil and butter, maybe some lemon, and just kind of grilled it up and stuff. And he was all about it. He's like, this is the best ever. I love
seafood
it
now.
And the reason he never liked fish before, but he then had a connection. He realized this is food. This is where it comes from.
Yeah.
It's not just something that you're getting from a store where you're going and buying something prepackaged or frozen or what have you. It's as fresh as it can get. It came right out of the ocean, right out of the salt water.
Yeah. And it's at 6 years old.
Yeah. Within half an hour, we're grilling it up, cooking this, and it was delicious. It was so good,
awesome.
and he loved it. And he's like seafood since then. Yeah, with the exception of canned tuna. He still won't eat that.
Canned tuna,
but that's
right.
a little different story.
But I think that's what we're trying to do and want to do with Rewild. It's just it's a philosophy for life. It's a mentality of getting back to kind of simpler things. And getting outdoors. And really just, taking full advantage of everything that the outdoors has to offer. And offering fantastic gear for that.
Yeah.
So
when we started coming up with this concept of let's start an outdoor equipment company, and we went back and forth on names and what should we call it. And we talked about dozens and dozens of different names. We
Yeah.
finally settled on Rewild Gear. And I don't know, Dave, you want to talk about the reason why?
Yeah. So kind of the funny thing is it's kind of a controversial topic, which is kind of funny. But it basically, you hear a lot about wolves today, right? So like Yellowstone, okay, with the reintroduction of wolves, it's a very hotly debated topic. But the concept is really cool, okay? You're taking something that used to be there, no longer was.
Something that was wild, something no longer is as much.
Lived off the land, right?
Yeah.
Vanished and then bringing them back in, okay? So if you think about that in terms of us and humans, we've always lived off the land, okay? We've always been outdoors.
We wouldn't be here today if our ancestors were vegan.
Exactly.
Just wouldn't.
Exactly.
We're here
It would have stopped a
because
long
our
time ago.
ancestors hunted and
right.
fished and foraged.
Yeah.
And we're hunter-gatherers.
Might not be the best podcast for a vegan.
I would recommend they not listen. Maybe.
Probably not.
Now they can listen.
Or it
They'll
might
learn
change
a
their
few
mind.
things.
It
Yeah,
might change their
exactly.
mind.
It might be entertaining. It might be
Yeah.
entertaining. But anyway, so kind of taking that in terms of us, in the intro we talked about, kind of our field of work, and the common theme was how busy we are, right? Lots of responsibilities. It's easy to kind of get lost in just life, the responsibilities. And so in terms of the brand and kind of what we are doing and kind of what we're about, it's really kind of getting back to nature. As Seth, you mentioned about losing part of your soul, with being away from nature. And I think we can all relate to that.
100%.
Yeah. So kind of getting rewild again, and just doing that. And that's going to look different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
To a point, because when it comes down to it, going back to the basics, going back to the beginning is essentially what rewilding is. And essentially what everyone always needs to go back to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So for someone that might be backpacking, for someone that might be hunting, that might be whitewater rafting, you know what I mean?
Through hiking. Just
exactly.
a day hike.
Exactly. So that means something different for everyone, but it's getting back to, simpler time, simpler things. It's a
Bungee jumping.
You can rewild.
Would you call that rewilding if you're bungee jumping? I don't think that ever happened in nature.
Yeah, it did. There's tribes that do it.
What?
Yes.
Do they use vines?
It's part of their adulthood initiation.
Like doing
They
a
use
walkabout?
vines.
Is this
Essentially the same thing.
after they do ayahuasca?
Probably.
Or before?
Probably.
It's part
probably
of
after.
it.
Probably after.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But bungee jumping is actually. But skydiving may not be rewilding, but it's still outdoors.
Sure.
You're still in the sky.
Okay. Yeah.
Wingsuits,
Yeah.
Would you-
Wow. I would definitely consider that rewild.
I would just call that wild. I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but
Maybe lose the we, the re.
That would just
yeah.
make you wild.
Yeah. I think that just makes you a little crazy, but
Oh, I definitely do it.
yeah. Might have a little bit of a death wish there, but
Maybe.
they say it's one of the most dangerous
It's funny.
activities you can do, but looks like a hell of an
Oh
adrenaline
my
rush.
gosh.
Have you guys ever seen? It's a documentary about Yosemite.
The one that Robert Redford narrates?
Yes,
Yeah, what's the name of
I
that?
can't remember it.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
It's really good, but they show some people.
Is it called like Mountains or something like that? I think it's on
I
Netflix.
can't remember. I think it is on Netflix. Yeah, but no, there are people that use wingsuits on there, and I think a few people died from
Oh yeah, there's a lot
up
of
there.
people.
Yeah.
You know that big rock that you swing from in Utah? There's a name for it.
A big rock.
It's a
that you
big.
swing
It's
from.
what's a big.
Like a well-known rock
Yeah.
in Utah.
There's YouTube videos out, but they
There's a
basically
lot of rocks in Utah.
No, this one's very particular. People go there and created this huge rope swing,
I'm
but
not
someone
familiar.
died a few years back, so they kind of banned it.
Oh,
Huh.
I was gonna say that's another concept. I would definitely consider that rewilding.
okay. fair enough.
I mean,
Yeah, because to me, if there's not an element of danger, a little bit of a little aspect of danger in an activity, what's the point?
and
Yeah.
a little bit of
Yeah.
unknown.
Yeah.
Because if it's already known,
Yeah.
and you already know what the outcome is going to be, it's well, why do it?
Pretty monotonous. And it's
Yeah,
almost like
exactly.
your daily life.
Yeah.
Why not
Right.
just
Well, that's.
go
I
back
feel
home?
like as humans, we've spent so many years of trying to like remove that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In modern society,
yeah,
for
modern
sure.
society.
We tried to erase and get rid of any element of danger or the unknown or things where it might
And
get
now
hurt.
look at the modern American. It's pretty sad.
Well,
pretty sad.
just human in general, not even just American.
No, you're right.
I mean, sometimes it's even worse than that. But
that's true.
I mean, there's an element of danger in life. The only thing that is safe and secure is when you're 6 feet under. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Ben Franklin who said death and taxes? Is that who it was?
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Rewild Gear. So what we're trying to do here is create really high quality products that people can use to spend more time in the great outdoors and get back to nature and rediscover who they are and what the meaning of life, what they're doing, what they want to do, where they're going, so that they can reconnect with family, with friends. And so when they get back into quote unquote real life or the day-to-day grind, then they can be better husbands, better fathers, better bosses, better business owners, all of that. We need to take a little break here. Adam, you drank a little too much Jaeger. You got to pee.
You need to take 5.
Here, let's take 5. We'll come back.
5. We'll be back.
Okay, we're back.
Much better.
After the pee break.
Yeah.
We'll call that a commercial pee break.
That's right.
Or something. Okay, let's talk about the products we're working on.
Let's do
it. Yeah.
Good idea.
So I know there's a lot of products that we're working on, we're designing right now, and plan to do a phased launch of things. So we'll talk a little bit about them, and maybe we can each comment on what we're most excited about. Yep. So you want me to just give a quick overview about those products?
Yep, go for it.
What they are. So right now we are designing a knife, a fire starter, a bellows to help with fire starting.
Explain what a bellows is.
Yeah, some people definitely don't know.
Not everyone
what
knows what that is.
That's a great point. Yeah. A bellows is a collapsible, almost like a straw, like a tube that you use to blow into on fire or sparks or embers to help get more oxygen on it so that it will makes it easier to get igniting, make the fire.
They've been using bellows for years.
Yeah.
Like, because if you look at like the old time bellows, it looks like an accordion kind of.
Oh, yeah. Those are used for fireplaces.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
so they used them way back when.
This is just a more manual option where you're blowing through it, kind of like an extendable straw.
Yeah.
So the knife, fire starter, ferro rod, the bellows. We're also working on a collapsible camping stove and a backpacking grill, a usable utensil. So not a spork, but one that is a little bit more usable. And that works better because a spork is a pain in the ass to actually use. Doesn't work well as a fork at all, or even as a spoon that well. And cookware, like a mess kit that multiple piece that can be used in multiple applications and for whether you're through hiking or hunting or backpacking and things like that. So
you say a mug, did you throw that in there?
Well, the mug is part of that kit, you know? So yeah, so let's just start. David, which of those products are you most interested in?
Can I take the knife away? Because I feel like everyone's gonna be most excited about the knife.
The knife is the thing that got this whole concept started because we've been talking about creating the perfect knife forever,
which is an elusive
we could even
It's
go
an
back
illusion.
to our knife history as kids and
that's
why
true.
we have such a fascination.
I remember the
with
first
knives.
knife I ever got. I mean, for my 7th birthday, Dad gave me a knife, and I think the first time I ever went camping, I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
Took me camping up to Barren River.
Very nice.
We pitched a tent. It took forever. A long time. We had to borrow a tent because we didn't have a tent. Because apparently, Mom and Dad didn't really camp.
Well, Dad being in the military, he hated camping growing up. You know what I mean?
He grew up, and
He grew up with an outhouse and
he was
basically
two-holer wasn't
camping
the
ground.
two-holer. Yeah. All right, hold on. Let's take a step back. Why do we call it a two-holer?
Go ahead, Adam.
Nah.
Okay, so when we started doing deer camp back in 2015, I started just looking up videos or researching deer camp, because I've always heard this concept and what it was. And there's this movie called Escanaba in the Moonlight that is set up in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, in the UP, Escanaba, and starring Jeff Daniels. And it's all about this family that has this deer camp. And it's become our tradition that we watch it every year before the opening of rifle season, opening of deer camp. And it's hilarious. It's like a cult classic, and it gets really weird and kind of
very
science
weird.
fiction weird stuff. But
when I think about that movie, like, because it starts out so good,
and then it just gets,
and you're like, wait, what is this?
It
the
just
same
goes
movie?
off the rails.
So the first year you sent it out, I remember watching it, and like I think it was late at night, so like I turned it on.
You're like, Seth, are you stoned right now?
What was funny? What was funny was
Maybe.
I fell asleep and then woke up and I was like, is this the same movie? Because it is so out there, you just don't see that coming halfway in.
But back to the two-holer. So in the movie, they have an outhouse and it has 2 seats side by side. And they call it the two-holer. So, and we have an outhouse here at our deer camp. And so it's not a two-holer, but we call it that.
Not yet, it isn't.
We may add another
next
one.
year's upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, back to the products.
So take the knife away, because I mean the knife I'm pumped about. I think having a knife that does a lot of different tasks easily, that you enjoy using, that's easy to use, that's super reliable, that you want to carry, on your belt. That's priceless, right?
Yeah.
So taking that away, I'm pretty excited about the mess kit, honestly. Mm-hmm. I know that's the bane of your existence right now.
It's one of the things I'm most passionate about, but it's also going to be the hardest thing.
It's tricky. It's tricky. I mean, because you're trying to cover all the bases with it. You're trying to make it very usable. You're trying to make it obviously excellent quality, so it'll last. But you're trying to make it fit into a compactable piece, right? So, I mean, that I'm very excited about, just because, if you like to cook outdoors, when you have a good piece of cookware that works well, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So, I mean, obviously, cast iron is great to cook in, but it's just heavy, not usable or practical if you're going up. Yeah, exactly.
It's just
it's not realistic. So, I'm excited about the mess kit.
Okay. Adam, how about you?
I agree. I mean, the mess kit is going to be definitely make an impact on your camping experience, and I'm excited about it. But I feel like if you, go back to the Rewild concept.
Yeah.
The ferro rod is kind of huge.
Well, being a fireman and creating fire.
Yeah, I mean,
it's on par with.
And granted, there's tons of them out there, but for us to create our own, it'll be a little different. I mean, just you need fire across the board for warmth, for food, for it's just like it's
one of the staples.
It's one of the staples, one of your essentials that you need across the board. Like you can figure out another way to cook food if you absolutely have to.
Sure.
But you have to have fire.
Yeah.
Without that,
how do you feel about the bellows in relation to that?
Without oxygen, you have no fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big, I don't know. I think it'll be huge too. And the amount of times that I've gotten close to blow into a fire to try and build it and burn off my eyebrows and my beard and my hair, it's terrible.
When you build a fire without using a bellow, and then when you build a fire with using a bellow, it's amazing.
Wait, have you guys ever done this? You ever use your blower?
Yes,
your blower
for the grill. Yeah, like a leaf blower.
Yeah,
yes,
it works really well
for just the outdoor fire.
Never for night and day difference. I have for my green egg.
No, so I've done it for our back.
Fire.
For a little fire pit we have.
Cool.
Like a couple seconds of that, and you're ready to go.
Right on.
It's almost like throwing fuel on it. Throwing Coleman fuel. It's crazy. But no, it's huge having that, and as compactable as it is, I don't know, they go hand in hand with each other.
Got it. Yeah.
You can't have fire without fuel or without oxygen. Sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What's yours?
The knife is what started all this, and so I feel like I go back and forth between the knife and the cookware, primarily just having done enough backpacking and trying to create cookware that is both usable, both for a couple people, 1 to 2 people. I mean, if it's a big group, obviously that's a different animal entirely. Yeah. So if you're family camping or car camping, you can get away with a lot more. But if you're backpacking or, Adam, like what we did in Wyoming over the summer where, we backpacked everything in.
Yep.
And not a far distance, but enough.
If you had cast iron, that would have sucked.
Yeah, no way. That would be so much worse. And we were taking either stainless steel, a lot of stainless steel, but a little bit of titanium.
Yeah.
But creating high quality products that are going to last a long time, that are lightweight, that aren't going to leach chemicals that are going to make you sick or hurt you, and having multiple pieces there that so that they can be used for multiple applications, you know, having like a small skillet or pan, having a bush pot, a cup that you can use, you know, to drink out of, whether you're drinking your Jaeger at night or your coffee in the morning. Crappy campy coffee, as I refer to it.
Can't beat it.
Yeah. Or if you're just going solo style, like if you're on a backcountry elk hunt, and you know you're using dehydrated meals or something, and so you just need like a cup for that and something to drink out of, and so just putting all these pieces together and trying to marry them together. So that's been a challenge for sure, and has been the bane of my product design existence.
And I think a big thing also is the fact, like the amount of gear that we have purchased and that we have tried and that we have over the years to be able to, I don't know, essentially replace all that with.
Well, you're taking the best things.
Yeah, like we're basically creating the best essentials to replace all these.
That's the goal anyway.
Yeah. And I think we'll be able to do that very easily.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like, we don't get outside as much as we'd like to by any means. We don't get to do, but like.
When we do.
Part of the reason why we've gotten so much gear is because we want to try all of it, because we don't get outside enough to try all of it.
Right.
So now,
in different applications that we need it for. Yes.
And now being able to narrow it down to these essentials is going to be huge. It'll make packing and getting gear ready easier, and we'll know like we have this. This is going to, you know,
exactly.
deal with all.
That's
the thing. Like I brought a ton of gear in. I'm like, hey, I bought a lot of this just to try out and test, and I know I'm never going to use it because it didn't meet my standards. So if you guys want to take it and use it, try it out, go ahead.
Well, I think we're scratching an itch. You know what I mean? Like for sure. Like the goal is to create things that will replace all these other things that we want to use, that we're excited about using, that works extremely well, and that's fantastic quality. It's going to last.
I don't know. I have a minimalist mindset in regards to like. Granted, it's very
less is more.
Yeah, less is more, and it's very hard to do when you don't have the best gear out there, because
you have to take extra pieces.
If you don't have the right size, the right if it's not great quality, like you know how they always say like. What is the quote? Two
is one and
two
one
is one and one is zero.
Yep. Yeah, kind of the prepper's mindset.
Yes, and I get that if you have crappy gear, but if you don't, you shouldn't have to worry about that
unless you lose it.
Unless you lose it, hope you don't lose it.
Don't lose it.
Yeah, I think we've all done that usually before too. But yeah, I mean, and I think that's the basis of the Rewild ethos that we're trying to hit is that guys like us, who are desk jockeys or work indoors, we don't get to spend as much time outdoors. When we do get out here, we want to be able to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And so we want gear that is going to last. You know, buy once, cry once.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, not have to, you know, you may spend a little bit more on high quality gear, but it is going to last. And so if you only have to buy it once and it's going to last you for the rest of your outdoor life, then that's well worth it. You're going to save money in the long run.
This is kind of off topic, but not like if you talk about buy once, try, like put that into your health.
Yep.
The people that take care of their health and maybe they have a upfront cost for a gym or buying organic, whatever the case, they don't have these thousands and thousands of dollars of medical bills because they took care of themselves.
Insurance costs.
You know, it all goes back to the basics and like doing the essentials to take care of yourself on the day to day, and you don't have these.
Focus on the fundamentals.
Here's a question. Have you guys ever bought a piece of gear that was like really great quality, that was expensive, and then maybe you stewed over it for a little bit, like, I don't want to pull the trigger on it or not? Have you ever regretted it?
Only if it didn't function the way it was supposed to.
So if it was not what you thought it was going to be. Okay.
If it delivered on the promise of the quality and it actually worked like it's supposed to, then no.
Okay.
But there's been a few cases where I bought something that was quote unquote expensive.
Yeah, right.
But it just did not work as well. But the quality was great. It's going to last. But the functionality just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case of that particular gear or piece, as it is just the design in general across the board. So, and that could be my own personal use case, though.
Sure.
No, I think that's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, typically, even, I don't know, across the board, you get what you pay for. I mean, if you go to Walmart and buy some crappy stuff for a couple of dollars, like, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
Ask Castman about it.
He's going to be on the podcast pretty soon. One of our buddies who's affectionately known as the Dirty Pirate Hooker.
No, like if I don't have the money for something right away, then I'll be like, that's fine. I will literally wait a couple years to buy gear that is 100% quality and has like this incredible guarantee on it. than to buy some some crappy stuff that lasts 6 months or a year.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I've always been that way. And I think that was just kind of a work ethic that was built in when we were kids that because nothing was really given to us.
No.
And anything that I wanted, I had to save my money. I had to work for it and get
Yeah.
it. And so I respected it. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to save my money, I'm going to buy something. I want it to last.
Yeah.
And so I want to get the best gear, the best thing, widget, whatever it is, so that it's going to last me. And I'm going to take care of it too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think when you have a little bit more into it, you will. I mean, like you said, you'll take care of it. You'll, you just have a bigger stake in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we started talking about like all this different gear we're developing, and we talked about the knife just a little bit. But I think that's the one thing that we're all the most interested in, just because we've all been. The
amount of knives that I've had,
do
you guys remember?
Crazy.
Do you remember a couple years ago we were sitting around the fire at deer camp? We're like, "How many knives do you have on you?"
We had like 30 or 40 knives.
No, it was
cabin.
over 50, I think.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Between there was 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah.
And like with our kids here as well, our sons who are out here. I mean, the amount of knives there was like.
It was just
7
ridiculous.
people total. So it's probably over 50 knives.
Think about though getting ready for deer camp. Like, what was the question? Like, so what knives you bringing? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like I asked you, what knives you bringing? And it's just, it's just trying to.
And that's the thing. And part of it is because what is the use case that we're going to be using it for?
Right.
The application of that particular tool. The knife, or a knife in general, was the first tool. Yeah. It enables you to create lots of other tools. So if you're bushcrafting, you're in nature, you're trying to create other tools or things that you can use to survive.
Yeah.
A knife is the original tool that you need to.
Well, again, go back to our ancestors.
Exactly.
That's what they used to live, survive.
They would take stone and make a knife, make a spear. A sharp, pointy object that they could use to, cut sticks down that they could use for other things.
It was an essential tool that they relied on,
and that's why it's the first.
It's
tool
literally the
first
tool first piece of gear that you get if you're going to go outdoors.
Yeah, for sure. Knife is the most important.
Yeah.
And so the knife that we're working on, we've bought and tried probably hundreds of knives over the years. Hundreds and hundreds of knives.
Yeah.
I mean, spent thousands and thousands of dollars on knives over the years. And there's things we like about a lot of them. There's a lot of things we don't like, whether that's the steel quality, whether that's the blade
handle
material, the handle, the shape, the size, the length, the width, the thickness,
the characteristics of it, like just
so many different things. So honestly, we're trying to scratch our own itch here, but also create a tool, a product that can be used in multiple applications. Something that is great for just general camping, camp tasks, whittling, bushcrafting. If you can use it to skin a deer. So many different use cases. It's not going to be perfect for anything,
right?
Really, because that's impossible. You have to be so specific.
Yes.
There's no perfect tool, because everything is so different, so varied, especially when you're in the great outdoors. But it's going to be very,
like
very
a gun.
usable.
You can't. There's no one gun for every scenario that you need it for.
Yeah,
you have to buy multiple guns for multiple occasions.
Depending on what you're hunting.
Same with a knife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and people.
But this knife, we're taking 4 different opinions, putting into one knife. Well, more than that, actually, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're getting, all these different concepts, all these different opinions, and trying to create the most practical, best fit knife for as many applications as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the difference between a lot of other ones.
Yeah. So the other products, so the backpacking grill, there's not a lot of options out there as far as good grills. If you're backpacking and, you're doing some fly fishing or just streamside fishing and catching some fish, what can you creating a grill or throwing it on there to grill up, or a small like hobo or twig stove. There's a lot of options for that out there, but none that really meet the criteria we're looking for as far as functionality, how well it works, how compact, how lightweight.
Yes.
And I think too that is marrying like aesthetically, with
functionality
and the quality gear too. Like how long is it going to last you?
It's marrying all of those, all of those aspects of it.
Like, is it going to bend and like twist and turn after a couple times being on the fire?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. So that's all the products. We need to wrap this up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we could literally talk about this for the next 24 hours.
Exactly.
About this.
We wouldn't even make it into a deer stand
First
hunt.
podcast, 3 hours.
We're not trying to go a Joe Rogan length here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I guess let's talk about other topics that we're going to cover in the podcast, or what you guys are interested in And we'll probably do some interviews with people kind of in the space and just chatting about our own likes and interests and things as well. So
I think some of the things, I mean, say someone's new to this space, how do you get them outdoors? Like what's some practical ways, and whether that be gear related, whether it be where, would that be public land, so just a how-to to get outdoors, to try to live the lifestyle of Rewild. I think that would be a good one that we want to.
I think so. Okay. Here's actually off talk, but kind of the same topic. So, an example would be like, I mean, I've always wanted to have like land and be outdoors, be in the country. My wife, however, has not had the same mindset.
Mine either.
Until
Divided
the last, up until mid COVID-19, and I hate the fact that I even brought this in, but it's just switch it. So there's like a mind shift of like, how reliable are we on our own? How much do we have to rely on other people and stores and modernization? I don't know, society. And it becomes frustrating when we can't sustain ourselves or our children. But so, mid COVID-19, like the stores were like, I don't know, out of everything. It was ridiculous. And
toilet paper, especially.
Yeah, it's still, right. Does that still like blow your mind?
It still does.
Why did everybody want to just buy toilet paper?
I don't know.
I still don't understand it.
It's still confusing.
It was a supply chain issue, I think. Yeah. So something's coming from China.
None of it makes sense, but nonetheless.
Either way, you want to wipe with leaves?
Get some leaves.
It's fine. Or go in the river. Go in the river.
That's going to affect the water supply. So if you're living off the land and you're going to drink out of that, right? Better have a good filter.
Better have a great filter.
Or dig a hole away from water.
How many other animals are pooping in that?
Yeah, and that's why you need a good filter.
Exactly.
But also, what are they eating? They're eating a lot of different things than we are.
That's a good point.
Because, we eat what we eat. We're actually eating what they eat.
Yes.
So that's why it's important for the food supply.
Anyway, what I'm saying is, I wanted to, I still have the concept of being self-sufficient, having your own land and growing your own food. And my wife was not that way until she realized how dependent we are and how much we have to rely on other people for our food source.
So there's a chance.
Yeah. And then she's like, what is going on? She's like, I went to this grocery store. I mean, she does the majority of the shopping for us. And so she got to see firsthand, like, things are running out. Like, we have to worry about our kids. Like, there's not enough food. Like, we don't have our own garden. We don't have we're not hunting every day. Like, she's like, we gotta start looking at land. We gotta buy a new house. Like, and so now she's on the same page, and it was huge. And so I'm saying, like, having that mind shift of realizing, like, things you can live this way, but like, there are no guarantees in life across the board except death and taxes. Like, you don't know how long supplies are going to last, especially, I don't know, it's just crazy the things we're living through right now.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Especially if you have kids. But, like, having that mind shift, it doesn't take much to start thinking outside the box and being like, all right, maybe I should go back to the basics and learning the outdoors. And, like, and once you start that phase and like transition to that, it's huge. You'll feel different and you'll think different.
Like
and just
like, garden.
Yeah, just start a little garden, whatever, like a little raised bed garden. Composting.
Like, to me, that's composting is a big thing because we're in this world where environmentally we have screwed up so many things. Whether we've overhunted certain populations or we're using single-use plastic and it's going in landfills or the ocean, and we're dealing with microplastics and microtoxins and things from all of this. But just taking your general waste of things that can be composted and starting a compost bin in your backyard, which is going to create amazing quality dirt that you can use to plant a garden. To me, that's incredibly important.
That's a great point.
Yeah. But Dave, how about you?
First topics. So something else I think would be good, and I've found it beneficial with kind of looking into this, but kind of how you get started hunting, and if you want to procure your own food. Yeah. Because like we were talking, we didn't grow up hunting. And so I think I said earlier, I almost feel like I'm behind in it. So just kind of a how to get started in it. What do you need? Where to go for information, which I think we're looking at being a source for that.
Resources and tools and experts.
Yeah, exactly. So just kind of getting a good grip on how to get outdoors. So like when I think of myself, you know, being in the field of work that I am, of what are the things that I do to get me outdoors more, and sometimes that's with kids, sometimes that's without kids. You know, in our backyard, I built like a little lean-to for the kids to play in.
Oh, cool.
It was a ton of fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, because it's something that I want to pass on to them. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, some of my best memories from early childhood are being outdoors. And so that's something that I really want to pass on to, my children as well. And just get them comfortable outside. Just get them to have a great love for the outdoors. And I think you do that by, I think a couple things, by getting them out there, but also them watching you and really seeing how much you love being outdoors and how much fun you have.
Yeah, that's a great point. For me, I think one of the things that I'm most excited about as far as this podcast is talking to people and experts and just, you know, diving into the topic as far as understanding our food supply, where it comes from, and kind of a conservation ethic, as we're so disconnected from our food. What is food? Adam, you're about to die over here from Jaeger.
I need more Jaeger.
You need more Jaeger. There you go.
It's cough
You
medicine.
got the Covidachi.
That's right.
Jaeger will cure.
Here you go. Yeah, for me, it's just getting back in touch with where our food supply comes from, how we interact with the land, with nature, because there's so many people today and so much thought that it's like us against the land. It's us against nature. And that's not true. That's inaccurate. Right. It's not us or them. It's not nature lives without us or should live without us, or we live without it, or we're expressing dominion over the land, or we have to wrangle it or make it conform to our will. And no, it's like we have to live in harmony with it, and we can, but we can't overfarm, overfish, overhunt. It's also not just going completely plant-based and everything. We should never eat meat or animals or fish or anything like that. There's a right and a wrong way to do it. And so it takes understanding nature and not just doing it for the sport. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but also realizing that this conservation ethic that we're trying to focus on, so that everything is in balance and harmonious. Because if we're not hunting, it will be an overabundance of deer because we've killed off all the natural predators for them. You know,
everything comes back to balance and moderation.
Yeah,
everything
that's
across the board.
For sure. Doesn't matter what
that's
it is.
something we've been talking about. Like, I mean, you have this great property here, and just like the land management of it.
Yeah,
we've been talking about. You know, like what do we hope for the property? You know, like
I'll tell you right now what I'm really interested in. That I was listening to a podcast. Daniel Vitalis has a podcast called Wild Fed. That's fascinating. He started talking about like apples, like these wild heirloom apples, like up in Vermont or Maine or somewhere where they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Because most apples that we get at the store, they're like they've been genetically modified, or they're crossbred, something just to produce the most. Right. But they taste different. They're not the same, and it's not what was here originally. Yeah. So possibly planting some of those. Something else like the American chestnut. Yeah. We have lost practically all of the American chestnut tree because there was a similar chestnut tree that was brought over from Asia, and it had a blight with it, and it didn't affect those type of chestnut trees there, but it pretty much destroyed the entire American chestnut tree and industry.
That's interesting.
And so
When
tried
was
to
that,
bring
you
some early 1900s, I believe. Late 1800s, early 1900s, I think. But, you know, bringing back some of these species of plants, animals, flora and fauna.
I'm still holding out for my elk and bear here.
Yeah, eventually. Wolves as well. Yeah. And so, but being mindful that as a species, as a population, everything has changed a lot. Yeah. And anytime you reintroduce something, there's going to be consequences to that. It may not be the same as what it was before. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so I think we're still learning that and trying to figure out the best way to balance all of that out. So
it's fun, though. It's a ton of fun.
Have you guys watched the series Yellowstone?
I haven't, but I've heard it's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's on my list.
But it's basically like it's basically a fight for them keeping Yellowstone in the wilderness and modernization taking over, and it's a constant battle of them
give and take.
Yeah, of them trying to keep the wilderness and the woods and the animals, and then these other guys coming in trying to create buildings and
that's
business it, whatever.
Stuff. I mean, the wolf thing in Yellowstone alone is super interesting.
Yeah, it's really controversial in Colorado. I guess that passed.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the thing is with that, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but I know wolves are already showing up in Colorado right now.
Yeah.
But there's people that think they don't want them to reintroduce them like manually, or they're tranquilizing them and then putting them in and letting them go. And I guess they would probably have them collared so they're seeing where they go. But I mean, it's going to happen naturally either way. But some people are against that. I go back and forth. I don't know that there was a right or a wrong. I mean, I could see pros and cons to both.
I made a pet wolf friend once. Did I tell you about that?
No.
In Steubenville?
A pet wolf? An actual wolf?
Real 100% wolf.
There's no wolves in Ohio.
How was it?
Are there?
How was it tamed?
It had a collar on. So,
oh, really?
It was late. I was like, I drove to this park, and I was just, I don't know, I think I was like just trying to get out away from everybody.
You're trying to rewild yourself.
Basically.
At a park.
And my lights were on.
Steel country.
Yeah. And I saw this huge dog. So I thought, and I was like, oh, that's a beautiful dog. I'm going to get out and pet it. Why
Adam
not?
is our resident animal lover.
Did it look like a husky? Like, did you think it was a husky at first?
No, I mean, it was dark. It was pitch black. It was like, it was late. It was like 12 or 1 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And my headlights were still on. I saw it, and I was like, come here, boy, come here. I was calling it.
Come here, wolf.
And it was like a little hesitant. It came to me, and I started petting it.
Nobody was there?
nobody was there.
Okay.
And I took some pictures of it, and I was petting it, I was rubbing it. It like laid on the ground for me, and then like I would kind of like feel around its neck a little bit, and it didn't nip at me, but it kind of got like
Didn't like it so much?
Yeah, I didn't like it, but I felt it was
a
not
tracking collar?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a tracking collar.
Huh.
And I played with it for I fed it like a.
But it was tame?
Well,
That's
I don't know how
weird.
tame it was, but
it let you touch it.
it let me touch it. I fed it like a Cliff Bar or something like that. I played with it for a while.
Was he Cliff Bars?
Yeah,
they do
Apparently
now.
this one did.
And I eventually just left and it took off. I named it. What did I name it? I named
Tonto?
it. No. I think I named it. What was Gladiator's dog's name?
Oh,
I don't remember.
Anyway,
I should have
not Hercules. I didn't. No, it was anyway. And I had a couple pictures of it. I don't think I have them anymore, but
Yeah.
I took I showed multiple people. I showed dog breeders. I showed people across the board. They're like, I didn't say anything. I was just like, what is this? Like, that's a wolf.
Really?
100%. Like it's not hybrid. Like
Wow.
pure wolf.
And there was nobody around.
Nobody
Like,
around. It was just by itself.
That is
And
bizarre.
Interesting.
so these dog breeders that were from the area, they're like, well, we've heard that they're trying to implement wolves back in this area.
No kidding.
And they have trackers on them and stuff.
Who's doing that?
I don't know.
Wait, when was this? Like, how
So,
many years ago?
it's student. So I've been married for 5 years. It's probably 8 years ago.
Wow. In Ohio.
9 years ago?
Eastern Ohio. Yeah.
I don't know, but
How about that?
Interesting.
100% a wolf.
Yeah.
Like,
Cool.
With the collar.
yeah. With
Yeah.
the tracking
So
collar.
So that's obviously a controversial topic, and I don't really want to get into that. I mean, I know in some places where it's been implemented, it's worked out great. I mean, just in Yellowstone is the perfect example of reintroducing wolves and how it's completely changed the landscape for the better, and kind of put balance a little bit back into that ecosystem. So will that work everywhere? Who knows? Don't know. But we'll see.
You ever seen a pack of wolves?
No, actually.
I did in Yellowstone.
Did
Did
you
you
really?
the whole pack?
It was incredible.
Wow.
Literally saw that. I mean, I was very
They have a collar
far.
on 'em?
Yeah.
It's too far to tell, but you could literally see all of them just running.
Oh,
It was
cool.
it was
That's
amazing.
awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Super. All right, boys. Well, let's wrap this
That a
up.
wrap?
Any final thoughts? Let's go.
Get out there and explore.
Let's go
Excited
drink.
for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, let's go drink some Jaeger tonight. We'll grill up some steaks, make some chili, hang out
gonna be a
around the
good
fire.
time.
Yep.
Deer Camp
Yep.
2020.
Yeah, and maybe we'll record a little episode post deer camp
That's a
episode.
good idea.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
because there's always going to be stories.
See how the bounty
Oh, yeah.
goes.
Exactly. All right, that's
Cool.
a wrap.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Rewild Gear Podcast. You can check out the show notes for today's episode at rewildgearpodcast.com. If you're ready to spend more time in the wild, our line of high-quality, minimalistic outdoor gear can help you do just that. Check us out at rewildgear.com.